On the Fringe with Dan Radio Style. Hope everybody out there's having themselves a great day. Joe Biden has opened up Pandora's box, and my heart goes out to him. The health issues that he's got sound to be actually a bit more dire than they're kind of playing it down to. We're going to talk a bit about it. Not going to spend an enormous amount of time. I've got some other wonderful news too. Talking about Trump, talking about what's happening in the Middle East with China, with Iran. Got information about the budget. We've got some fun stuff, Karen Levitt and stuff like that. We got it all covered here. It's an awesome version of the Monday show. That said, let's try to get to the proper place. There we go. This first story, just kind of want to sort of warn you up front. There are a lot of people that have confirmation bias when it comes to this particular subject. And when you have confirmation bias and evidence is presented that contradicts what you believe to be true, you will invariably have to push back against it. What I feel most people are going to do in regards to pushing back against it, and I think we should all be paying attention, but what most will do, pushing it back against it, will be the ones who decide that the two individuals are no longer trustworthy. When, in my opinion, the two individuals are trustworthy, and I didn't believe what they said. I actually believed opposite, but I'm going to say I believe what they're telling me. Now, we can dig into that and say maybe that's what the evidence shows, maybe that's what they've seen, maybe whatever. Don't know because, cameras were turned off. We're talking about Epstein. Cameras were turned off, but two people we trust tell us what they think right here. Let's see if I can, nope, I guess I can't open it. It's going to.
You said Jeffrey Epstein committed suicide. People don't believe it.
Well, I mean, listen, they have a right to their opinion, but as someone who has worked as a public defender, as a prosecutor, who's been in that prison system, who's been in the Metropolitan Detention Center, who's been in segregated housing, you know a suicide when you see one, and that's what that was.
He killed himself. You want me to? I've seen the whole file. He killed himself.
That's Dan Bongino, guys. I'm pretty sure he was one of the many people that Epstein didn't kill himself, right? And the fact that he's coming out and telling us, I think it's significant, to say the very least, that's for sure. Here is someone, and now this is the gentleman from Zero Hedge, and it's just more importantly, I think, the fact that this question's being asked in a environment where nationally people likely could share the story. I know for sure people like me will. But then again, that is how the game is played, and it's pretty fantastic. So anyway, check this out. Pretty cool.
So over the weekend, President Trump posted Truth Social a video highlighting what most people call the Clinton body count, which is the strange number of suicides that seem to happen in Clinton circles. I have a headline here from the Washington Post that said, Trump peddles false conspiracy theories tying the Clintons to several deaths. So I just wanted to highlight real quick, this wasn't in Trump's video, but this is from the Arkansas Times. And it's the death of Mark Middleton, who was a former Clinton White House aide, who was found dead on a Clinton Foundation property. And I'll just quote from the Arkansas Times. Middleton apparently shot himself in the chest with a shotgun and also hung himself from a tree with an extension cord. So I have no idea how somebody commits suicide that way, but if the Washington Post is here, maybe you can enlighten us as to how that was actually a suicide. So anyways, that's just a lead into my question about the most famous Clinton-related suicide, which is that of Jeffrey Epstein. There's still a lot of questions around that case. You've released phase 1 of the Epstein files. What was missing from that is any connection to his ties to intelligence agencies, and that's really the whole story, that not just trafficking young girls, but doing it on behalf of intelligence agencies, and even potentially as part of a blackmail ring with potential ties to the Israeli government. So for phase 2, when can we expect it? Will it have information pertaining to those aspects of the Epstein case?
I know the Attorney General has committed to releasing those files. I would defer you to the Department of Justice on her timeline, but when she has made a promise in the past, she has kept it, and I'm certain that she will in this case as well.
Unquestionably. And again, just part of the game that's being played, but here we are talking about it in public place. Now, this gentleman, and I forget his name, but he has got, he's got a pretty good take on what he thinks happened. I don't know. I don't oftentimes like to share other people's opinions unless they're kind of close to the money. And I think this guy is probably close to the money, and it wasn't something I even thought yet necessarily. So check this out. It's kind of interesting.
this video was posted intentionally. Let me explain to you why.
Remember John F. Kennedy Jr.? He was declared the frontrunner for the New York Senate seat back in 1999. Days later, his plane crashed into the Atlantic Ocean, and his rival, Hillary Clinton, was elected senator.
This is why I love what the president does. He gets ahead of the enemy, knowing what manipulation and games are happening behind closed doors. This is my opinion. Last 2 days have been horrible days for Comey. Comey, in his eyes, he hurt Hillary Clinton in 2016 with the election president week before, and he's trying to make it up, okay? All right, so Hillary is tied to Comey. President Trump may have found out something that's going on behind closed doors that nobody else knows about. He's getting ahead of it, and he's just putting the pressure to say, hey, if you even think about doing any of your divisive stuff, Hillary, I'm going to expose you in ways you've never been exposed before. If you even come close to it, I think that's what's going on. And if that's the case, I like getting ahead of it, and I like playing offense.
I don't know. I mean, I don't disagree at all. I wonder if Trump's already done that, though. I think by doing that whole entire video, now the fact that Carolyn Levitt's having the discussion, right? That's a very interesting pieces of timing. This is not playing out well for them. So, I mean, again, whether or not this was the deliverance of the threat, or if, like he says, if this is a threat, Hillary, if you do any of the crazy crap we know you're famous for doing, we will stop you, or we are going to so destroy you, it won't matter. Either way, 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. Kid Rock, I think, has it figured out. We got a population decline apparently happening in this nation. Now, I am a little different opinion than a lot of people. I don't think it's as big a problem. Certainly, AI is going to be replacing a lot of people when it comes to jobs. I think most people worry about it for a couple reasons. One, religiously, they like to see that our population's growing and it can help flourish our beliefs into larger groups. And then there's another side of it, too, where I think a lot of people, the way our frail system, that's being replaced, by the way, our frail system is built upon the fact that there needs to be more people coming in than going out. Otherwise, you can't afford the people that need the benefits, right? So I think there's a lot of sides to this. But whatever the case is, I think Kid Rock nails it. We've figured out what is actually causing the population decline. I think the man's 100% right. Check it out.
When you play your concerts, do you ever see anybody with blue hair, armpit hair, female armpit hair? Some of these people we're looking at, kid, I don't know.
Man, listen, I was just watching your clips, and we have this low birth rate in America, and it all made sense to me. It just hit me right now, because who's going to sleep with these ugly-ass, broke, crazy, deranged, TDS liberal women? I mean, you look at these rallies, it's like a bunch of women that no guy wants to sleep with and a bunch of dudes that want to sleep with each other.
Have you seen what...
I think you hit the nail on the head. I mean, that's pretty much the Progressive Party in a nutshell. Here's Carolyn Levitt talking about the gifted plane. Making sure everybody understands the reality of this. I know you guys do, but it's important to share it anyways.
I'm glad you brought up this question, because I was watching the American press spew a lot of misinformation about the plane donation last week when we were abroad. Let's be very clear. The government of Qatar, the Qatari family, has offered to donate this plane to the United States Air Force, where that donation will be accepted according to all legal and ethical obligations. It will be retrofitted to the highest of standards by the Department of Defense and the United States Air Force. This plane is not a personal donation or a gift to the President of the United States. And everyone who wrote that last week should go and correct their stories, because this is a donation to our country and to the United States Air Force. As for a timeline, because it is the United States Air Force that is accepting the plane, I would defer you to them for specifics, because the President, frankly, has nothing to do with it. It's the Air Force's project to take on.
Yep. So, again, a lot of people representing bad information. It's happening all over the place. So we've got to make sure that we don't, buy into all the crazy stuff that's going on out there. Want to remind you guys of another company I love being a part of. They've just got great products. I've been doing the Sculpt, been liking it. Actually is kind of helping with the appetite, especially if I take it, like what I've been kind of doing lately to try to cut back on calories is drink less, first off. Which, by the way, that reminds me, there was somebody that wanted to do a sponsorship. They wanted to come on my show. They're like, you're a perfect fit. You guys will appreciate this. Any of you guys that actually know me. Because you're a perfect fit for us. We totally love what you're all about. We'd love to, have so-and-so on your show, right? And there's a show so-and-so. And he's like, check out my links, all this stuff. I think it'll answer all your questions. And I go to his links, and his whole thing's about trying to get people off alcohol, which, by the way, is a noble thing. Noble thing. I've told the story before about the mother that brought her kid before the shaman guy or the leader of the city or whatever, right? Spiritual leader tells the kid, come back in a week, have your mom bring him back, and she brings him back, and then kid comes before him, and mom wanted him to stop eating sugar, and finally the master says, kid, stop eating sugar. And the mom's like, why didn't you say that last week? And he said, last week I was eating sugar. And I'm like, I can't have a dude on talking about not drinking when I drink, right? Anyway, whatever the case is, the Sculpt has helped because I'm drinking a lot of water in the morning, and I don't drink until later, and it makes it help. And I've actually noticed a difference. Just one, I'm not getting the stomach growlings like I used to when I take the Sculpt. It actually helps. It's kind of funny. It's one of the cool products that they've got going on, and it does help with the hunger part. I maybe eat lunch twice a week, at least lately. I'm trying to cut back a few pounds. It's all, I wasn't ridiculous. I was about 10 pounds heavy, basically, and I'm trying to bring that back. So, and I think I'm, 4 or 5 pounds right now down. I'm happy, continuing the progress, noticing benefits. Again, I feel gross when I get overweight. It's just like I try to go over to tie my shoes, and I got this giant balloon between my gut, and it's just like, this is disgusting. I hate how I feel. So it is something that's making a huge difference for me. Sculpt is pretty awesome. Clean Slate's another one. You got some heavy metals, toxic stuff inside your body, and you do, frankly, from all the crap we deal with, from the air, environment, the foods we eat, just all sorts of stuff. Clean Slate, you just do like 5, 6, 7 drops on your tongue twice a day, and you will be amazed at the progress you will make when it comes to getting rid of the nastiness going on. Give Me Back My Youth is an extremely powerful supplement. It's got collagen and colostrum. And colostrum is it's like when a mother first starts nursing, that very first bit of milk that's created is extremely nutrient rich. That's what colostrum is. It's that very nutrient rich, super thick milk. And that they got that in there with the collagen. And so it's an amazing supplement. It's a powder. I've actually eaten it just by itself, and it doesn't taste bad. It's almost got like a milky vanilla kind of flavor to it. Not vanilla, more milk. It's not something I would recommend. It was just me because I don't blend stuff. I've told you guys this before. If you make smoothies, they've got about, 4 products I think you should own, especially if you're working out. The 4th product is if you're working out. They've got an awesome product. I think it's, we'll find it here in a second. But Give Me Back My Youth, definitely. Relive Greens is the other one. Oh, yeah, Crush. Crush is like all the amino acids you could possibly want. And it's powdered, and it's a really strong, good form of it. And this is Sculpt is the other one that I am fond of. So both of those on the screen. They've got some bundles and stuff that are very, very cool. But here's the Relive Greens I was talking about. Now, they've got this like facelift serum also that is incredibly powerful. Zero In, I love. It actually helps focus. I sometimes forget to take it, and I actually notice the difference. It's got a teeny bit of caffeine, but it's got a bunch of other stuff in it too. And literally, just for some reason, it gives me energy for sure, but it also helps me just kind of stay glued on my task. Like I like to take breaks every so often. I actually tend to go a little longer without breaks when I'm using the Zero In. Again, I still like to get up and move around. I just think it's healthy. I don't have a watch telling me when to do it, but I choose to do it on my own. All said. Amazing products. If you guys go to therootbrands.com/Dan Radio Style, that's The Root Brands, ROOT, therootbrands.com/Dan Radio Style. Again, I think you have to join as a customer when you do it. Just make sure that your sponsor is Dan Radio Style, all one word. Just use Dan Radio Style. If you actually do the link, it'll fill all that stuff out for you. But if not, it's all cool. Go to therootbrands.com/Dan Radio Style. Check out some of these incredible products. Again, they've got this clean spirit stuff. Again, they're not opposed to drinking here at this company. And the clean spirits actually helps for those good morning minerals when you've had a tough day. Also, their facial stuff is really, really, really good. They've got a facelift spray, peptide cleanser, peptide serum. They've got this whole like repertoire, if you will, of stuff that will help your face. You do your nighttime processes and all that stuff. They've got moisturizers. And they're really, really good products. Really high good quality ingredients. It's just fantastic company. I really, really like this company. TheRootBrands.com/Dan Radio Style. Again, full of healthy choices is one of the things I'm very fond of on this channel, and making sure that we continue to keep ourselves healthy, because there's a lot of stuff trying to be done against us. Trump and his administration's trying to reverse a lot of this, but we're still being attacked. That hasn't stopped yet. So we'll try to make that better. All right, getting into the Biden stuff here. This is kind of crazy. Now, first off, from the standpoint of, it's not just the Biden, it's the fact that the Democrats they're screwed now in an extra level way, right? The Pandora's box has, in fact, yes, been opened up. Now, where we're going to start with it is Donald Trump put out two truths in regards to Kamala Harris's campaign, the wasted money she spent, the fact that it was likely illegal to do that. And again, she spent through $1 billion in like 3 months or something crazy, and then bounced a bunch of it because she ran out of money. So this is Donald Trump's truth, the first one, the second one coming up in a sec. According to news reports, Beyonce was paid $11 million to walk onto a stage, quickly endorse Kamala, and walk off to loud booing for never having performed. Not even one song. Remember, the Democrats and Kamala illegally paid her millions of dollars for doing nothing other than giving Kamala a full-throated endorsement. This is an illegal election scam at the highest level. It is an illegal campaign contribution. Bruce Springsteen, Oprah, Bono, and perhaps many others have a lot of explaining to do, to say the least. Donald Trump truth this as well. How much did Kamala Harris pay Bruce Springsteen for his poor performance during her campaign for president? Why did he accept that money if he is such a fan of hers? Isn't that a major and illegal campaign contribution? What about Beyonce? And how much went to Oprah and Bono? I'm going to call for a major investigation into this matter. Candidates aren't allowed to pay for endorsements, which is what Kamala did under the guise of paying for entertainment. In addition, this was a very expensive and desperate effort to artificially build up her sparse crowds. It's not legal. For these unpatriotic entertainers, this was just a corrupt and unlawful way to capitalize on a broken system. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Now, Joe Biden, if you haven't heard yet, has an aggressive form of prostate cancer. It is metastasized into his bones. It is stage 4, which is what that means, essentially. And also what they're finding out is... it's highly aggressive form of the disease. However, it is noted the cancer appears to be a hormone sensitive, allowing for more effective management, which, probably means he just gets to stop taking estrogen. Maybe he can get this to go away. But whatever the case is, he's got stage 4 cancer. And what a lot of experts are saying is this doesn't happen quickly. Now, of course, Trump came out, truth this, Melania and I are very saddened to hear about Joe Biden's recent medical diagnosis. We extend our warmest and best wishes to Jill and the family, and we wish Joe a fast and successful recovery, which was, the nice thing to do. But now we've got some interesting individuals kind of coming out of the woodworks all of a sudden. A top oncologist who once worked for former President Joe Biden, not as a doctor, anyways, in any sort of capacity like diagnosing him. It was somebody that worked on one of their groups or whatever. He was just like there as a physician, but he was not one who diagnosed Biden. What he says is someone who used to work for President Joe Biden. He claimed Monday that his old boss must have had prostate cancer long before Sunday's public announcement of his diagnosis, and suggested the oldest ever president may even have had the disease for a decade. Now, at first I was going to be like, they're bringing out everybody to try to poo-poo this, but we've actually got more. Now, here's another, not the final nail in the coffin, if you will, but Dr. Stephen Quay. Prostate cancer is the easiest cancer to diagnose when it first starts, and to watch it progress to bone metastasis. The PSA blood test shows the rate of cancer cell growth. For even with the most aggressive form, it is a 5 to 7 year journey without treatment before it becomes metastatic. I'm not sure exactly how you're supposed to say that. I know it's metastasis, but metastatic, I guess, maybe? Meaning, it would be malpractice for this patient to show up and be first diagnosed with metastatic disease in May of 2025. I think I'm saying it differently both times. Whatever. I like metastatic almost better, but I don't feel like that's correct. I think it's metastatic? Whatever. It is highly likely he was carrying a diagnosis of prostate cancer throughout his White House tenure, and the American people were uninformed. Remember, he was the healthy one. Here's Joe Biden admitting it. September 9th, 2020, July 20th, 2022. This one really matters. This one matters because it sets everything up. This one really matters for what he says. And this one, well, it just kind of re-illustrates the fact that they kind of had it there in front of us. We just chose to ignore it, or our media chose to ignore it. I also want to point out, in 4 years, September 19, 2020, July 20th, 2022, July 11th, 2024, his cognitive decline was extraordinary. So on top of the fact that they lied about it, obviously, all the Democrat people that were close to him lied about it. We're going to get into that in a second with actually a piece I wouldn't normally share, but I found it to be impressive. His cognitive decline is off the charts. And again, I'm not a shrink, I'm not a doctor, none of that shit, but we've all seen people just crash as individuals. That's what he's doing. It's really sad, frankly. And they just used this dude. I mean, you hate him, you can love him, you can be in the middle anywhere. I mean, it's just he's just a cog, man. He got used. I mean, he was making money off it. I'm not trying to give him any justification. I don't think he's a good man. I don't necessarily think he's evil, per se. I think he's very warped and disturbed. I don't think, anyway, maybe I'm wrong, but I don't think he's to the level of Hillary Clinton as far as the level of evil, but I'm sure that this dude's done some horrific stuff. His predecessor, probably technically, the one that's no longer with us, that dude, I think, did some pretty horrible stuff. This guy, I think's actor or whatever the hell he is. All said. Here's him admitting it. I don't know.
And so I guarantee you, I will be totally transparent in terms of my health and all aspects of my health. And when it comes to Donald Trump versus me, just look at us, okay? That's why I and so damn many other people I grew up have cancer. I've laid every bit of the record out. Hadn't hidden a thing. You ought to ask Trump for his, okay? I laid it all out. And so
He did. He laid it all out. And was I wrong in describing how friggin' much worse he got? I mean, just that look on his eyes, that dead look. So the doctor on Morning Joe said Bush, Obama, and Trump all had this prostate test, and it was reported. But Joe Biden did not. Why is that? Now, I'm not going to play the 2 minutes there. We're going to get other stuff and other people talking about it. But it was on the Joe Today show or whatever it is. And the guy's like, why didn't he report it? Why was his information hidden? Well, after just watching what we saw, he already knew he had cancer. Now, how far down the road it was, I don't know. If what these doctors are saying is it takes 5 to 7 years to get to metastasis, whatever, right? To metastasize, metastatic, to get to that point. Well, he told us 2022. He told us literally 3 years ago. And now all of a sudden it's stage 4? When he told us in 2020, he was good to go. Or at least that he'd be honest about it, which he was 2 years later. Hard to say. Now this is actually pretty good. I mean, it's a totally Democrat-leaning, kind of left-leaning thing, but it's people really acknowledging the problem. They lied to us. They fell for this lie. They produced and promoted this lie. They lied. They lied and lied and lied. And unlike trying to look inward and be like, what did we do wrong? They're still just continuing down the same path. There's really no movement forward yet. We're just seeing them try to find a new leader. That's all they're doing. They're scrambling. And it looks like Ocasio-Cortez and probably Gavin Newsom are going to be that perfect fit. Whatever the case is, Here's Jay Tapper, who, I don't know, arguably is okay every once in a while. But this is, yeah, you tell me.
Something of a difficult spot, being asked why didn't they acknowledge voters' concerns about President Biden during the last election? Why didn't they tell the truth about him? What can they do to fix that now? Joining us now to discuss, CNN chief political analyst David Axelrod and CNN senior political commentator Van Jones. David, let me start with you. You were on the record in 2022 voicing concerns about Biden's age and ability. Whom do you blame for the decision of him to run for re-election and the decision to hide his declining abilities as much as they were able to?
Well, look, at the top end, you have to blame him because he made the decision. But he was, and your book reflects this in many different ways, he was shielded by a coterie of advisors and his family. They were in this confirmation bubble, and they tried to shield the world from his decline, and they tried to shield him from his own standing and his polling numbers and so on. And so at the end of the day, I have to point the finger at the people around him who didn't do him a service by encouraging him to continue. I think it was obvious to the public. It may not have been obvious to a lot of politicians. I actually think it was, but it wasn't politically wise in their judgment to speak out. But it was obvious to the American people, even before that debate, that the president was just too old. He would have been closer to 90 than 80 if he had won re-election, and he already was showing decline. So I blame the people around him because real loyalty, and it's hard when you work for President Jake to tell them hard truths, but real loyalty demanded that they say, Mr. President, it's just not there and it's not in your interest, and it's better for you, the country, and the Democratic Party if you leave now.
Van, I remember how emotional you were in the immediate moments after the June 27th, 2024 debate because of what you saw on the stage, and with all this new reporting coming out, and I should disclose that I gave both of you copies of the book so you would have a little bit more information. Do you feel like you were duped, Van? Like, how do you feel?
First, this book is extraordinary. I don't care who you are, left, right, or otherwise. Anybody who cares about this country and about just the dynamics of power, this is the emperor's new clothes playing itself out in real time. Everybody knew, but everyone was afraid to say, except for David Axelrod for 2 years, that something was wrong here. And so, I was shocked. I love Joe Biden. I don't like him. I love him. I got a chance to work with him when I was a part of the Obama administration and loved him more every day. I was shocked to see his condition when he came out, and so was the world. And that wasn't the first time he was in that condition. The book makes it very, very clear. There are people who knew and said nothing. And that is a crime against this republic. And I think the Democrats are going to pay for a long time for being a part of what is now being revealed to be a massive cover-up.
And David, in what seemed to be an attempt to get ahead of the book, President Biden and First Lady Biden went on The View, and he still says that if he had stayed in the race, he would have won. What do you think?
Well, I think that's preposterous. I think he's being told that by Mike Donnellan, his top political aide. And I've known Mike for decades. Mike is a brilliant guy. He knows, he was a pollster, he was a media consultant. He knows politics very, very well. I think he's just so tied to Biden emotionally that he could not accept the truth, which was it wasn't there. The analytics before the debate, Jake, that within the Democratic Party, within both the campaign and outside the campaign, showed him with less than a 5% chance of winning. And had he run, Democrats would have lost at least 3 more Senate seats, probably would have lost some more states. The damage would have been greater. He may need to comfort himself by believing that, but it's just not true.
Van, the big question is what now? What now for Democrats? And over the past week, we've seen some potential 2028 candidates, Pete Buttigieg, Governor Whitmer, Governor Pritzker, saying that they didn't know that this was going on, that they didn't know that there were any acuity or cognition issues. We've heard, I was busy working, I was too far away, I didn't see it. What do you think Democrats need to say? What is the right thing for Democrats to say? You heard Jim Clyburn acknowledge that possibly the party's low standing in polls does have to do with this.
Look, I think before you get out there trying to say stuff and persuade other people, you've got to look inside. In 2024, we got beat by W. John Kerry got swift-voted by Karl Rove, and suddenly we're looking at a president that we didn't like, George W. Bush, with a war that we thought was being fought badly, constitutional crisis, and triple red Senate, House, and White House. It took 3.5 years before Barack Obama emerged with a message. What do we do in the meantime? We looked inside. Donors got reorganized as the Democracy Alliance in 2005. Bloggers got reorganized as Huffington Post in 2005. Black voters got organized under Color of Change in 2005. And there was a deep internal reflection. I do not see that happening. I see people, rather than reorganizing, rethinking. Center for American Progress took off in 2005 and came up with a new set of ideas for Democrats. That has to happen. Before we get out here and start trying to tell people why they should like us, we need to look in the mirror, reorganize ourselves, get bad people and bad ideas out of the way, and then we'll be able to come forward in the midterms. But right now, we need to apologize to the American people that we were part of something that wasn't on the up and up.
Van Jones, David Axelrod, thank you.
Right? I mean, as much as that was as left-leaning as it was, and it was, for them, probably one of the most honest pieces they've done in trying to help their own audience. Like, look, we gotta look inward. What are we doing? What policies are we promoting that are so negative to everybody else, and we just can't see it, or we refuse to see it, or whatever? And obviously, taking away people's kids, that's a big divider. Big divider. The only people that don't care about that as much are people that don't have kids. I have a dog. That's the same thing. Right? There's them, those people too. Right? Usually have blue hair. You can spot them from a mile away. Pink hair, blue hair, some sort of weird, random, hey, look at me color. That's always nice how they announce themselves, at least. That and the infamous ring, right? And they got the ring in the nose, like a cow, right? And they're always like eating grass and shit. And you're like, what are you doing? I'm a vegetarian. It's like, oh, of course you are. Of course you are. So sorry. We're going to only watch, trust me, about a minute plus of this. Alex Jones put this out. This was his intro. I'm borrowing it. Put it on Telegram. I mean, what the hell? What else am I going to do with it, Alex? But yeah, give credit to Alex Jones. There you go. Thank you, sir. All said, I think you guys will appreciate this beginning part here. Check it out.
Who would you say is the most powerful person at the White House?
Jeff.
Jeff is the most powerful person at the White House.
Other than like the president. There's probably like 5 or 6 people that work for Joe Biden and have worked for him for 30 years. One of them is Ron Clay. Ron worked for Biden when he was like a senator. There's a guy named Steve Ricchetti. He's like a senior advisor at the White House. Anita Dunn. Yeah, she's a senior advisor at the White House. Gene Sperling. He's an economics guy. Oh, his sister, Biden's sister, she like runs the Biden Foundation. They're the people that run his different departments. If they put it on his desk saying like, hey, we think you should do this to Obama's house.
So I feel like Barack Obama's still very like involved.
No, he is.
Yeah, Hillary was being interviewed, and she said, I still talk to the White House every day.
She has people that are like super close to her that are still like senior people in the White House.
So who is she talking to in the White House?
Probably Neera Tanden.
I hope that Hillary's still involved behind the scene.
No, she is.
Treasonous Barack Obama, and that's what comes up.
Right, so that there's knowledge that other people have been involved. This is where the auto pen discussions are going. Now, again, do I know exactly what's really happening behind the scenes? No, but Trump gives us the hints that we need, right? Trump shows us that we got to pay attention. And he's talked about the auto pen. We've also had Ed Martin talking about the auto pen and the fact that they're investigating it. It won't take long. They'll figure it out, and they'll come out with a report. And here's the thing. Supreme Court's going to get to figure out what happens when a president isn't really the one who did the auto pen. And many are even suspicious who actually that was. Speculations ranging from Barack Obama to, who knows, Jill Biden, from what I've heard. I've heard all sorts of names, actually. Everyone in between. The 5-6 people they just mentioned there, possible. Maybe it was just everybody. There might have been one central person that pushed the button. I'm curious who that individual was. I bet they'll talk, because you're just a button pusher. Called him an F4 monkey back in the day, and it's not meant to imply race. Some people get sensitive about that animal, but it implies just anybody could do it, like even a caveman could do it. Hey, don't be mean to cavemen. Yeah, whatever. Oh, cavemen are on strike again? Union issue? No, cool. I can make fun of them. Yeah, friggin' cavemen could do it. Right? I mean, come on. CBS's news, they have someone that's been in charge for a really long time. And she just got fired, or stepped down, And oddly, her name's Wendy McMahon. You guys know me in that word, right? I got it, though. McMahon. Oh, I want to say it so bad it hurts me. It pains me inside, McMahon. Anyway, she stepped down. $20 billion lawsuit from President Trump over the segment on 60 Minutes. Executives are already replacing her. There's some dude with the last name of Cheeks, which is awesome. That was actually one of my best friends growing up. That was his nickname. We love Cheeks. Matt, you're a good man. For some reason, you ever end up seeing this, or if anybody knows Cheeks and Matt, if you can make that connection, then please let him know. He's a good man. I like that dude. I talked about him recently. He was the guy that actually ended up owning like a few In-N-Outs. He was just a good dude. Good dude. Did really well. Very proud of him. All said, this chick stepped down, McMahon, with extra letters, friggin' British origins. It's craziness. Musk hails Durov over rejection of the French political censorship attempt. So there was this election that was happening in Romania. Yes, the Romanians were having an election. And the French government went to Durov, and Telegram and said, dude, you got to remove all these people that are conservative in the Romanian election. Literally, the French government approached Durov and says, you must remove all these people that are conservative in the election in the Romanian Telegram. Remove them. Ban them, remove them, whatever. And he said, no. The deep state is doing what they're doing. They're going to do it where they do it. It's not the French government as much as I would like to push that. I'm kidding, of course. I actually don't dislike the French that much. I just think it's more of a joke that I'm kind of like owning, I guess, at this point. But I have worked with, I've had a few experiences with French people in the past that weren't good. But I'm Jew. I got this new other there's a couple other people that have popped into my life that are French that are actually pretty cool. And I know a guy that's even a Quebecois, and he's actually really, really, really awesome dude. So I'm being honest. I just like joking about it because I think it's funny as hell to say I'm racist. And the race that I really dislike is French people. I still think it's funny. I don't know what's wrong with me. I don't know. It's like Wano Savin with that stupid, it's not over yet. Jesus, really? Come on, Juan. No. First off, the singing part. And second off, you always laugh after. What is up? Oh. That's why he probably never, ever would be on my show. I'm not saying I want to, per se. Juan is an interesting fella. But he's on everybody. He's on much larger people than me. This is some of the many mistakes I make. Just staying out of the fray. It's like, nah, thanks. I'm talking to Mike Lindell. That's a big step for me. That was a big step, right? Super famous person. I actually like him, though. He's a cool guy. Congressman blasts CBO over faulty cost estimates. They said you can't rely on any of these things. So the Congress members use this CBO, the Congressional Budgetary Office. They're the ones that are supposed to figure out what are these laws actually going to cost us. These guys have been doing a shit job. I'm just kind of going loosey-goosey here, but right down here in this paragraph, when Congress passed the IRA, the CBO, and the IRA, by the way, is the Inflation Reduction Act, right? And it was only supposed to cost, at least the Joint Committee on Taxation predicted, the bill would only cost about $370 billion. Only $370 billion, which in their minds, it's like, that's not that much. That's pretty good. Who knows? Maybe job growth, maybe whatever. Like, we should be able to reach that. But Goldman Sachs later released an analysis that estimated the IRA's 10-year cost would be $1.2 trillion. which a little over 3 times what the CBO, the people that are actually tasked with this job, are supposed to do. Hey, Congress, did you ever think that maybe you guys need a Doge kind of thing? Just saying, Congress. You guys are horribly inefficient. Who's to say your shit don't stink? And Supreme Court, same. Right? Every single branch of this government right now needs to use this time to clean itself, this time to fix itself, this time to look inward and go, what the shit are we doing? Now's the time. This is where we release, we shake off the shackles, or we shake off the, I don't know, the water. I don't know what analogy you want to use. If you ever had a dog and they get wet, and you're right, like that, do that. 3 times what the Congress members thought. So we give them a little credit for being just, essentially trusting, ignorant, gullible maybe. Don't actually do any of their own work, just to not allow them to be like, dude, this is central. It's the Congressional Budgetary Office's fault. Okay, I get you, but you got like a staff of people and shit, and none of them you had to look into it at all? Just, for talking points, get on the news, something? I mean, seriously, dude, you need to fire your press secretary immediately. They suck. And then you probably got some other people in your office that suck balls. Get them out. Doge, get efficient, man. Jeez. What downgrade? Huh? Stocks and bonds surge in the green after Moody's cuts. It's so funny. So they went down hard at first, but it looked like everything went kind of back up. The futures weren't bad down, and they're not good up per se. But the stock market's, doing weird. And that's the thing that's funny right now. Nobody knows what the fuck's happening, right? You notice how the news keeps talking about it, and they're like, oh, the terrorists are going to the stock markets, oh. And all that's come back. Trump's still making deals, not done with that yet. Tariffs are still happening. The news has stopped talking about it. It's the problem. They're the ones that influence the mindless. It's just, I personally, like I said, coming into this from someone that's awake and just like, we're finally doing this. This is awesome. And then it's just like paying attention. It's like, I don't know, going to the mall and sitting on a bench and just people watching and just, I don't know. One day do it. Just make shit up for people. Make up a story for them. You might be right. You might be wrong. Who gives a shit, right? Right? But the way they walk, like their shoes, their clothes, or everything, right? And you just kind of give them a story. And dragging some kid along with it, right? It's a hell ton of fun. At least for people that are weird like me. And so watching all of this play out is fantastic. None of it makes sense. It's showing how broken all of the things are that we use to run our lives and govern our lives. It's just fantastic. Now, people still aren't totally seeing it yet. Again, experiences have to be elevated to the point where they show everybody. And that sometimes will definitely involve a lot of people in my audience, because there's a lot of people that think they're awake and thusly assume, I got this. Problem is you got to look at evolution every single day. And you got to be judging the bigger picture, what you're experiencing. We've talked a lot about it. I do this still. I climb up my high horse all the time, don't I? I still am constantly humbled in my life, or at least constantly aware of my actions. And that counts big time, by the way, multiplied on this station, my show. If I do anything douchey, hardcore, like, dude, I get karma back immediately. It keeps me in check. It does. I think it's awesome, by the way. That's why sometimes I go to say things, and they were just some good friends of mine were calling me on that. They're like, you were in the middle, and then you're like, pew. And it does. It's happened to me before many, many times, where I've wanted to talk about something that I'm just not allowed to talk about. Because everything to me is open and honest in there. Like, you can get it too. But not everybody's ready for it. And if too much of the audience isn't ready for it, it actually becomes a bad thing. Some things need to be held back a little while longer. Some people just aren't ready. And we'll get there. But Yeah, it is funny. I crash hard sometimes if I'm trying to go into a direction that it's like, oh, because I love this stuff, but I gotta get a lot better about realizing that a lot of what's happening right now, and this is just me telling you guys honest truth, like it's taken me a little bit to understand how we're all in different phases, really. So even the people that are saying stuff that I totally disagree with, that bugs the shit out of me, like, but there's like a whole group of people that should be listening to these guys, that they're helping, right? Like, I kind of feel like it's like we all have our own net, and we're netting our own people to help with the bigger picture, right? And we're all stitching our nets together to make a giant net so we can capture and catch. I don't mean capture is a bad word, but like help is really what I'm thinking. Like scoop up and save as many as we can. And I realize a lot of you guys are going to even do it different from me. It's you know, when you think you do something, you know, and it makes sense to you, and you believe what you are saying, and you believe what you're telling people, and you think it's correct, and you've done a lot of work to figure it out, it bums you out when people don't. But there's different angles to getting to the truth. And sometimes they just look different, but they're just because they're coming from a different vector, a different angle. Anyway, I hope that reached enough. It's been a big deal for me kind of figuring stuff out. And I was like, it made it easier. Because sometimes people say stuff to me that maybe is just way out in left field to me. But I realize they're passionate about it and they're running down this rabbit hole. And it's like, check it out. Let me know what you find out, And I'm probably going to disagree with you then in my mind. But at the same time, the search is what it's about. So I humble myself before you. Dow is up a little bit. S&P's down a tiny bit. NASDAQ's down a little bit. Gold's up a little bit. So I don't know, whatever. It's cruising around 32, which is groovy. It finally stabilized a little bit, which again, I think is one of the things that the powers that be, and I mean the new powers, are waiting for. It's just a little bit of stabilization, and then they're gonna move another lever and see what happens. So again, just saying, just caution yourself, folks. I just think it's a good idea to either A, get as much of this ball rolling as possible. When I mean to Goldco, I love these guys. DRSlikesgold.com. They're DRS, likesgold.com. They're just extraordinarily good at what they do. They're very efficient at it. It's like, I don't know. To me, it's like if you're going to try to sell a car, right? It's kind of like calling up, what is the, I bought CarMax. It's like going to CarMax and seeing what they'll take it for. And then you're like, all right. And then you find the blue book and you're like, all right, there's a difference between those two, but CarMax is so dang easy. And it just makes everything correct legally, right? You get your title signed over, everything. And it's easy. And yeah, I could probably sell it privately, but it's kind of a pain in the ass. That, to me, and I'm not trying, they're so good at doing an extremely complex process, and then will answer your questions like expert rock stars, that it actually is kind of part of the convenience that you get. It is an amazing experience. It's simple, and I just think it's worth looking into getting the ball rolling. Don't sign anything until you feel like you should sign it. Get the information. There's some free stuff they're going to probably throw your way, up to 10% free silver, by the way. So if you got a 401k or an IRA, unfortunately pensions, no. 401k, IRA, I think there's age restrictions. There's some stuff, just whatever info they ask. 401k, IRA. You can diversify/move tax-free, penalty-free into precious metals. It's physical metals. They put it in a trust. They can't give it to you because if they do, that's the same thing as cashing out. So that's how it's tax-free and penalty-free. They'll answer every question that you possibly want. You could potentially qualify for a half-ounce silver Ronald Reagan coin. To my understanding, they give this to a lot of people. Not necessarily even being qualified, but they've got a star here. So they've got a star. Make sure you be honest. But it's learn how to protect your wealth. That's what this gold kit is, or gold and silver kit. Protect it. Prices of gold and silver have gone up a bunch. Anybody that got into this a year ago, it was like at 1,700 back then-ish. It's gone up to 35 almost. It's at 32 and change, 32.50 right now. That's still way above 17. It's an asset that's performing very, very well. Silver's way undervalued. They're going to give you up to 10% free silver. Again, there's a lot of things to consider when you take in the big picture on this decision. Get the ball rolling, give some information, understand how much complexity they're simplifying. Try to appreciate the process. It's tax-free, it's penalty-free. Go to drslikesgold.com, drslikesgold.com. Let my very good friends at Goldco help you. I love you. I love them. I think they are just bang up. They've been incredible to me. Every place, everywhere, every how that I've dealt with them has been a wonderful experience. It will be for you too. Go to drslikesgold.com, drslikesgold.com. Get out of that system before they get out of you. Oops. Let's push buttons here, folks. House Republicans advanced Trump's big bill. They got it through their Senate committee or whatever. 4 Republicans just didn't vote. Rather than voting with the Democrats, which that might have been Johnson's like, hey, here's the thing. Either I can truly... Well, he's not going to say it like this. He's got better ways to handle it. But it's like, basically, either A, you're going to get looked really bad in the public, or B, you can just not vote, demonstrate what it is that you need to demonstrate without fucking me. And they're like, all right. And so they did. And they managed to pass this thing 17-16. Barely, but they passed it. They obviously picked up 1 vote because it was 16-21 initially. They lost the 4 votes that were part of the Democrats last time, so that drops that number down a little bit. So someone switched from what it seems like, because otherwise it still seems like it should have been 16-17 if you do the math. So someone switched in there. I don't know if they talk about who the switcher was. Switcheroo. Whatever the case is, he's making progress happen. Chairman James Comer and Senator Joni Ernst are demanding sweeping reforms to the federal government's use of charge cards, credit cards. Thousands of highly questionable charges, many thousands and thousands of people with 2 different cards, used off hours, used in wrong places. Again, a lot of stuff. They're doing some investigations to dig into a lot of that. There were some of those casinos. I'm sure there's plenty that are strip clubs. They haven't put it out because it was probably not enough to make it like, a high enough percentage. And they're like, oh, I want to talk about how they've spent it at strip clubs, because they have. We got a new investigation that's happening. A federal committee tasked with tracking COVID-19 assistance fraud found tens of thousands of dishonest, as my girlfriend would say, or erroneous Paycheck Protection Program applications. PPP applications, there were tens of thousands of erroneous applications, and they found many, many, many instances of money that's been paid out that should have not have been. In fact, it sounds like it's around the realm of $860 million. Again, we got $1 trillion deficit, Dan. What's $860 million? Seriously, that's many, many drops into the bucket. And when there's thousands of these kinds of problems all over the place, it all definitely adds up. And, frankly, government's just ridiculously huge. It's inefficient. It performs horribly. Doesn't know what the hell left hand has no idea what the right hand's doing. So, yeah, a whole lot of things got to change, and hopefully kind of are. We've got AP. They're complaining. And it's funny as they're spinning this in such a way. This is why the AP is not allowed in the White House. But the U.S. hasn't seen a human bird flu case in 3 months. Almost like since Trump/RFK, got involved. Now all of a sudden we're not seeing human bird flu cases anymore. And of course, AP is saying, well, there's obviously something because they've obviously fired people or removed people, and thusly we're being attacked right now with an epidemic, and we're just not capable of seeing it. At least it's to that level that they're talking about, that more afraid to come forward, testing amid Trump will fire them. We just don't know why there haven't been any cases, says Jennifer Nuzzo, director of the Pandemic Center at Brown University. I think we should assume there are infections that are occurring in farm workers that just aren't being detected. Because we're not panicking. We're not making a big deal about it. So nobody's worried. And thusly, nobody's actually gone in to get tested to find out that they have some weird-ass thing floating around. Huh. Strange. FBI agents beg court to destroy a list before the shame campaign begins. So of the roughly 5,000 agents that were tied up to these January 6 probes, that list of people is possibly going to come out. Ed Martin talks about naming and shaming. We're going to definitely see that kind of stuff happening. So this list, the courts basically are being asked to decide whether or not they can share this information. Yeah, there's definitely some... Oh, yeah, I think I wanted to play this. Here's Ed Martin talking about this. Check this out.
But we have to be serious about it, just like we have to be serious about getting to the truth. There are some really bad actors, some people that did some really bad things to the American people. And if they can be charged, we'll charge them. But if they can't be charged, we will name them. And we will name them. And in a culture that respects shame, they should be people that are shamed. And that's a fact. That's the way things work. And so that's how I believe the job operates.
You're talking about weaponization.
I'm sorry, sir. I was going to call on somebody in the back.
Hey, it's a Scout CBS. Just picking up on the last point you just made, Mr. Martin.
Yep.
Reviewing the charges. I think you acknowledged your inquiry into Congressman Garcia from California and Senator Schumer from New York. Can you tell me where those stand and whether this review may include members of the January 6th committee for, I guess, criminal misconduct?
Oh, well, let me say on the first thing, Senator Schumer, who someone asked how I didn't get confirmed. Senator Schumer made it a point, I think, on my confirmation to be very active. That's what I'm told by senators and Senate staff because I talked about his threats. Last week I was assaulted on the steps out here. You probably saw it. That's a direct result of the kind of conduct that Chuck Schumer has done and continues to do and encourage others to on both sides at times. But we don't stand for it. When I wrote a letter to Elon Musk, I said, we'll prosecute people that threaten your people. When I wrote a letter to Chief Judge Boasberg, I said, we'll prosecute people that threaten your people. When I meet with my staff, I say, we will prosecute people that threaten our U.S. attorneys or dox them or pizza dox them. There has to be one standard, and the standard has to be more respectful and serious than that. So I can't comment on an ongoing investigation. I can tell you that Chuck Schumer's matter, we looked at it closely. He had apologized on the floor. He had gone out of his way to make clear that he wanted to take back the threats. I think that ultimately we decided that was probably made it difficult to charge him with a crime. But I'm happy to say out loud that what he did was shameful. Back to my point, it was a shameful thing to do. It's something that is destructive to the discourse and very intentional in a way that was very different than on the floor of the Senate. And so that's I think what the problem was there. And again, I won't comment on any other investigations.
Mr. Martin said over to News 4. In your opening remarks, you questioned D.C.'s right to home rule. I want to ask you a little bit more about that. You truly believe D.C. is at a point where they should lose home rule, and have you told the president your feelings on that?
Wait a second. I didn't question their right to home rule. They have a right to home rule. That's the law. Okay, they have a right to it. I'm not questioning their right. That's the system. I'm saying that if they can't get their house in order, they shouldn't be surprised that people are asking questions about it. No, I didn't talk specifically about that. But when the pardon came down of the two police officers who had been railroaded by this office, and he pardoned them. One of the conversations that we did have was, how do we get the judges under control? Everybody in this town knows that the Superior Court judges, we have problems with the judges, and there are currently upwards of 15 vacancies that the president appoints, and he asked about the judges. We know that's a problem. So my point in this is to make sure that people know, again, you have to speak the truth. If you don't want to speak the truth, you can move along and wonder how this keeps happening. The truth is, being a sanctuary city makes it more dangerous for the citizens. The truth is that letting people that have this kind of firepower and these kind of drugs in their possession, letting them get away from being detained is not good for the community here. It makes it more dangerous. And therefore, I think people should be having the conversation. Yes, sir.
189 people that were picked up in Operation Restore Justice, if I got that right, how many of them have prior criminal records and how many are solely immigration violators? Yeah, I think most of them are administrative. So meaning that they're.
We'll find out for you. I think it's probably something like 10 or 12 were criminal, and then the rest were administrative.
Like 90+% were administrative.
Yeah, but that's against the law. I mean, it's still an important thing to do. And by the way, we've asked the shelters here. Look, the bad guy, again, you got to speak truth. The bad guys in this country know it's a sanctuary city. So on their way to Miami and New York, they come and stay in the shelters here. And so you ask the shelters, can you give us the rosters? And they say, no, we don't want to give them to you because we're a sanctuary city. That's a problem, right? Metropolitan Police Department, if an officer stops someone, they're not allowed to ask about their status. If they do, they'll be fired. That's a safety. That should be a safety concern for people.
Go ahead, please. 2 questions.
Yes.
One, you mentioned the woman who spit on you. Any update on that case? Are there charges, an investigation, anything?
It's a new experience for me as the victim. I'm not allowed to be involved at all, so I don't. All I know is that they, soon after when they interviewed me, the FBI and the marshals gave the impression that they knew. I don't think they want to comment, no.
Second, going back to your point about transparency, I think you said there has to be transparency. When you hide it and then prosecute, that creates a problem. The former chief of the criminal division in this office, Denise Chung, says she resigned because she was pressured to investigate something where there wasn't evidence of a crime, Biden climate spending. Was she pressured to do that? Is that one of those instances where we can be transparent and talk about it? If we don't and then prosecute, it's a crime. It's an issue, is what you said.
Well, no, I mean, again, the characterization by a disgruntled employee, I just think everybody takes it with a grain of salt. Let me comment on the specifics. Again, when you see unprecedented conduct, you as a prosecutor and as Americans, you should look and say, what's going on here? $6.7 billion transferred to one nonprofit that was created 6 months earlier, 9 months earlier, by 3 nonprofits that came together as a consortium. That's the facts, right? If you can look it up. It's public record. I'm not revealing anything in investigation. That should make everybody go, what's that? That's the largest transfer of wealth ever from the government to a nonprofit, and it was done with a massive effort of lawyering and a massive application. So when you look closely at it, you say to yourself, is this criminal conduct? And it's not clear, but it does make you pause. That's what you're supposed to do, is pause. Just like if there's the Biden pardons are unprecedented in their extent, right? Back to when Hunter Biden was whatever age, you say that's uncommon. We ought to take a look at that. That doesn't, as a prosecutor, that doesn't mean you're indicting anyone or subpoenaing anyone or putting them in. When we talk to folks about that, the concerns were real and serious, unprecedented. So the woman that you're talking about had never seen anything like this. So she's saying whatever she says now, but that's not what an unprecedented situation calls for. And we used exactly the process you're supposed to use. You go through the process, you talk to the magistrate judge, you go and say, do we have a situation where we can go further? And that's what we did. So again, I will tell you, whether it's USAID or Climate Action Fund, we're seeing unprecedented conduct in the last 4 years especially, that we've never seen before in a way that's different than we've ever seen. Weaponization as well as money transfer. And I think Americans deserve to have people saying, what's going on here?
I got to kill it here, but this whole thing was good. I was actually planning on playing the next 6 minutes, so I'm like, holy crap, we're really running long. So, yeah, an incredible just amount of stuff that Martin's putting out right now. The investigations are occurring. The fixing the government is happening. There will be investigations. There will be arrests. There will be. So I know a lot of people expect these things to happen way sooner. It's not, I don't want to say this meanly, but it's sort of ignorance. It's just not understanding how complex arresting someone and literally getting it to stick when the best lawyers on the planet come to try to defend Hillary Clinton. You best have all your friggin' I's dotted and your T's crossed. And if you missed one of them, it's why you failed to arrest and convict Hillary, right? Like, you're going to be blamed. It reminds me of O.J. Simpson. I forget the chick's name. It's good for her. Tanya? No, it wasn't Tanya. But the chick that was prosecuting, and I think she was getting the credit or whatever, but there was 2 of them, remember correctly. 2 major ones. Yeah, they failed. All the stuff didn't stick, the glove, just so many different things, right? So, again, this is a very tough game to play. And it's best to appreciate the challenge. A lot of people are like, deep state's just stupid, or the Democrats are stupid. Is what a lot of people do say. There are a lot of stupid Democrats. I would say that is correct. That's a factually correct statement. But the people running the show, the people that are manipulating people, they are far from stupid. No. They are very, very intelligent. Supreme Court lets Trump lift deportation protections for Venezuelans. I had to dig this up. It was one of these things that was posted with no reference. And I'm like, what? And it didn't show up in my purview. So a lot of times that's like, what? And then I literally had a hard time searching for it. This story was sort of buried. A federal judge had blocked the administration's plan to remove the temporary protected status of more than 300,000 immigrants. They did this on Monday. And the Trump administration, they're removing protections from nearly 350,000 Venezuelan immigrants who have been allowed to remain in the United States without risk of deportation under the program known as Temporary Protected Status, or TPS, I think they call it. You have the TPS report, isn't it? Wasn't that a TPS report in Office Space? I think it was. The court brief was unsigned. It gave no reasons, which is typical. Whatever the case is, let's see. The justice announced they would allow the Trump administration to end the protections pending appeal of the case. Basically saying your protections are done for now. You're in this case. That's cool, but nobody else gets any extra protections any longer. And that, I think, was wise from the Supreme Court standpoint, because that does more damage than the other direction. And I think that's really what they look at. And that's, I think, why it's kind of interesting. How they side on it and all that is just, But it ultimately comes down to, where does more damage occur? And they should mostly agree on that. Usually they do-ish. Well, okay, most of the time they don't. But anywho, this one went through. So Trump's now got the ability. I don't see a vote in here. I was looking to see if they had the number. Yeah. I was lucky I found a friggin' story, so whatever. We'll take what we can get. We'll take it, folks. Hopefully we can get more. Justice Department proposal could allow prosecutors to indict Congress without oversight. I've seen this thrown around. I don't know how much total truth there is to this discussion or the information. I think Pam Bondi kind of said this publicly, but there is this public integrity section, a PIN is what they call them. And basically what this group is, it's like if you're the Fed and you're about to arrest a Congress member, they're like, we need this sort of third party to just make sure what you're about to do isn't crazy, which would be the deep state part of this process. The ones that are deciding, no, they're okay to do that. You're silly. Don't arrest them. And that's how that typically would play out. Or maybe arrest them if they're whatever. They're going against the grain. But Pam Bondi's basically saying, I think legally we don't have to use them. In fact, I think we can just arrest. And so there's discussion about the idea of removing that bit of oversight, they'd call it. But to see if you're really a criminal, an organization that takes down crime, if crime's potentially infiltrated into groups like this, well, then you can't trust that group, can you? Right, exactly. And that is sort of what's happening. And again, a lot of people are just like, I can't believe this isn't over yet. And it's like, oh, we've come so far, so fast. Now we're moving at light speed, folks. Enjoy the ride. This is fantabulous. It was a war we won, they say. It's a rare breed trigger scores a landmark victory. It's actually a decent video, but whatever. It's a special trigger. It allows it automatically like recoils the trigger essentially through the cycle. And it's like an 8-step cycle. I don't want to get into all the specifics because I frankly don't remember them all anyway. But it allows you to fire faster because you don't need to move your finger forward. The trigger moves your finger forward for you. You guys correct me if I'm wrong on that. But it's basically, I think, what this FRT type of thing is, this forced reset trigger. So it pops your finger back. Now you just got to pull it forward, pull it forward, pull it forward. You don't ever have to extend the forward movement of the finger, which is actually kind of an odd movement. It's like doing tricep curl extensions, right? It's a weird movement for the finger. It's stronger the other direction. It's what it's for, is the trigger pull. So having a mechanical pop your finger forward, yeah, it's so much faster. So much is it's a percentage still, but it's just significant, you know. So whatever the case is, looks like we won this one. Department of Justice announced a settlement with the trigger manufacturer. So again, we are getting control of things, folks. Blue State Blues. That's right. They're singing them. They're playing the harmonica. Right? Gavin Newsom busted Cali's budget on migrants. I think there's a $12 billion budget. Well done. Well, I mean, again, now I will say, for the fourth largest country in the world, or as far as GDP, $12 billion budget's actually pretty good. Now, again, I'm not going to give Gavin Newsom any credit. He's a state. He's not allowed to drift as far as, like, say, Japan can. But whatever the case is, he tries. So, yeah, California, we've wasted a bunch of money on illegal people and sanctuary policies and just things along those lines. Probably DEI and all that other bullshit, too. And the fact that we've failed. We've got reservoirs that are supposed to help us fight fires that are dry. We've got fire hydrants missing that should be there. So whatever, we like to pretend we care about everybody else and fish, so we flush all of our water down rivers into the ocean so we can't have it, but we keep fish alive. Yeah. Now we got some happy fish. I don't know if they're happy or not because they're still in like a weird place, but dadgummit, I think they're still alive. Yep, we have no water. We're dying, but it's cool. It's cool. Tattoos, folks, might be linked to cancer. Story's kind of an interesting one. I don't want to get freaking you out, but there is this strange link between the tattoos and the cancer. They just basically talk about the way the immune system deals with it. So once ink enters the dermis, the layer of skin beneath the outer layer of skin, the immune system attempts to clear it, sending pigment particles to nearby lymph nodes and potentially other organs. What this ultimately comes down to, folks, just to kind of simplify this whole thing, they talk about the size doesn't matter per se. It seems to be ink color does kind of matter. Black or gray tattoos, they had a higher percentage. Just warning signs, pay attention if you got any sort of weird growth on the skin that's happening kind of quickly. Laser removal of the tattoo does not actually, in fact, make it better. And in fact, actually can cause it to get worse as far as the damage it could potentially do. Again, I'm just sharing all this with you because I know a lot of my a lot of people have tattoos. So they basically say, what if you have tattoos? Like basically, hey, here's the thing. Pay attention and make sure you take care of yourself. Live healthy. Now, one of the things that we've talked a lot about is ivermectin, mebendazole. By the way, I was doing some my stuff. They're 15 milligrams, the ones I got. So I was like, oh, cool. They're way higher than I thought. And so again, this is a 25 milligram and a 250 milligram of mebendazole. This is actually what's called a parasitic cleanse. And I believe this is sort of an important thing to keep in mind, especially with that story. Now, the story wasn't totally shared for that reason, but this is one of the ways that you could remove all the parasites in your body. And if you do any sort of thinking about the process of getting a tattoo, for an example, just to stay on the example, all right? You get a needle that's like going through. So there's two areas. And most people's brains go straight to the needle. No, I got a tattoo, Tammy. I'm calling you out, your sweetheart. And you'd say it first, right? Like, I clean my needles, so my needles are good. Of course you do, tattoo, Tammy. And so does everybody else, I hope, right? Most everybody else. The problem is the ink. How do we know that doesn't have any stuff in it, right? We kind of don't know, but if you think about if you think of the people that would get tattoos, how a lot of them are very free-spirited, free-oriented, right? Like a lot of the things that basically represent everything that we're all about. Those are the people that typically get tattoos. Everybody gets tattoos, really. And there's plenty of crazy people with the little things that have tattoos. I guess everybody gets tattoos, to be fair. Whatever the case is, everybody should take this just to make sure. Because there is this weird potential uptick. I think there's a lot of ways that we get sick and parasitic maybe. And I think there's a lot of ways these things happen and they can cause a lot of different sicknesses. So I think we're also very fond of blaming other things that represent us. Whatever the case is, I think we're constantly bombarded by stuff that makes our lives difficult. This is a great product to help you protect yourself. It's a 90-day cleanse. twc.health/OTF. twc.health/OTF. Do a little research on the parasites and what they're referenced to. Just a little. And you will be like, holy crud. This 3-month Again, 25 milligrams ivermectin, that's a pretty hard pull. And then 250 milligrams of mebendazole, probably the same. This is given to you by doctors. This is completely legal. This is right up everyone's alley. This is legit. It's not too legit to quit. It's actually just legit. Straight up. Go to twc.health/OTF, twc.health/OTF. They've also got these wonderful, like the kits too, medical kit, contagion kit. Look into the kits. Just first aid even. Do you have a first aid kit? Do you have a fire extinguisher? They don't sell those, but you have one of those? You should have one or more. These are things you got to think about. Things are going to get weird at some point here. I don't know. I'm getting enough people to kind of they're feeling the same vibe, right? They're feeling the same vibe right now. They're building up to something. The energy's building. We can feel it building. It's happening. So be prepared. Be as healthy as you can. Healthy is important. twc.health, very important word in there. twc.health/OTF. /OTF. That's your coupon code to heaven right there. So please take care of your guys' selves. I want to see you guys on the other side. Iran says nuclear talks are going to fail if we push for zero enrichment. That doesn't seem to matter all that much. Fox News and Trump and Netanyahu and the way the separation occurred. The separation was interesting. I just want to throw in this really quick. Just the fact that, one, Trump is like, nah, we're friends. Let's say it. Spoiler alert. Sorry, too late. But it's the fact that the separation already did occur. Rumors were allowed to fly. I'm wondering if they were kind of looking for leaks too. But the other side of it is then Netanyahu started the war. And we, I think, kind of wanted to remove ourselves from that. I think that was some of what happened. Trump's like, I get you got to do that. I can't politically support that. And Netanyahu's like, I got this. I'll take care of it. And so I kind of think that's some of what's happening, but I don't know, whatever. Again, I'm just a dude, right? But here's Trump saying what comes out of his mouth is what matters from that standpoint.
Are you frustrated at all with Prime Minister Netanyahu?
No, look, he's got a tough situation. You have to remember there was an October 7th that everyone forgets. It was one of the most violent days in the history of the world, not the Middle East, the world. When you look at the tapes, and the tapes are there for everyone to see. So he has that problem. That problem should have never happened. Now, if I were president, that problem wouldn't have happened because Iran had no money. They were stone cold broke.
Stone cold Steve Austin. That's what they were. So we got a little thing. GPS disruption being reported in the world's most critical maritime checkpoint. This is over here by Iran. And this is not close to Israel, by the way. Israel, I actually pulled it up on the map. Israel's like way over here. It's like way over here. It's like not anywhere near Iran in that regard. Now, they got all sorts of stuff in between that is pro-Iran. But GPS has gone down. GPS is very American. Used, or at least created pretty much by us and used all over the place. It's being disrupted. There's already a number of stories that have been produced that numerous countries at this point have figured out how to disrupt our GPS signals, especially commercial. Militarily, I think that's kind of why a lot of them have switched to, Starlink. Again, it's funny to hear some of the people poo-poo Starlink and Doji, just to use a very specific word. But it's just funny to see how some people kind of attack some of these things. And it's like, that's interesting. Like, this is obviously for the good guys, and you're not happy about it. Why is that? That's weird. That just makes me ask questions. But this is happening. Also, Israel's taken over all of Gaza. That's his plan. He's like, said it. He's like, no, this is what we're going to do. Tremendous military pressure, our massive entry to actually take over all of Gaza. That was in quotes, that whole part there. So there's that. Now, Israel did begin its major ground offensive, like in Gaza today, basically, best we know. Launched a large-scale ground campaign in Gaza. Supposedly they went north and south. I actually brought in a map because, frankly, I am really bad at geography. Not really, really bad. I actually care about knowing, and so I'm probably better than most Americans, I would say. Probably significantly better than most Americans, but still not as good as a lot of people in the world. So this is what I'm talking about. Now, the Iran thing I was showing you, that's over here. That's way over here, okay? Dubai and all that. This is Iran over here, okay? Cairo, Egypt, right? So we got all this crazy stuff going on. So Israel's over here. Jordan, right? The rivers of Jordan. So again, this is it's just to kind of give us a little. I lost our place. It's to give us a little feel. There's Gaza. So over here. Now they don't give us any real good stuff. There is some sort of little port there as far as boats. It looks like a shit port too, by the way. That showed a lot of waves. But they're supposedly coming into here. I don't know. From my mind, it's pretty big. I don't know how big this is. I guess. Is there a gauge on here? What do they ever call it? What do they call the thing when it shows the distance per size matters? The ruler, maybe? How big? Let's see. Let's see how big it is across. Oh, okay. Let's try it like that. No? How do you do this? How do you ruler, man? I want a ruler. That doesn't seem to work well for me. It shakes the shit out of it. Like a Polaroid picture. Anyway. Yeah, guys, so Gaza's, I don't know. It's, this is something that's going to piss off a lot of people. We'll see who exactly in the big picture complains, cries, whatever. I don't know. We'll find out. Former Hamas hostage recalls horrific torture. So they've got this emotional buildup that they're doing with the individual. And again, I'm sure being hostage is probably horrific. I can't imagine it being a good thing. But having this then come out, which is a very, like I said, very emotional. We talked about yesterday, emotional programming, very emotional. Like, we gotta kill him, right? Like, that's kind of the thing. So they're really hyping up their own people anyways right now. And pretty much, well, I don't want to say Jews everywhere, but probably most Jews around the world. NATO state, I'm talking about keeping the war alive in Ukraine. So this NATO state's like, look, here's the deal. It's Danish, by the way, the Dutch. They're like, look, we're going to give you guys $600 million worth of stuff. So it's like shells and all that. But the beautiful part is this $600 million worth of stuff, we're going to give you, well, over the next 3 years. $600 million is nothing in a war, folks. But they're trying. At least the Dutch are doing something. They're giving some military. I think it's another sign to Zelensky that, bro, you're done. Your days are done. Kremlin confirms Trump-Putin phone call took place or is taking place. He agreed to it. The call supposedly did happen. We haven't heard anything come from it yet. I don't know if we will. Trump will come out. We had a good call. We talked. It was good. It was, it's like, But here's J.D. Vance saying
supposed to talk to
some pretty solid stuff about the call and what's up and where we're at and how we feel about this. And I think Trump likes to, put other people out in front. He's like, hey, can you kind of, run with this a little bit? And he's like, hell yeah, dude, I'll get out there and friggin' jump all over this shit. And so I think Trump sometimes does this because he's got to do big boy stuff. And this is a great way to have really, really important people, second in command, to help with the situation. But here's J.D. Vance talking.
The president's supposed to talk to President Putin of Russia and President Zelensky as well, and I'm sure he'll talk to a number of world leaders today because he always does that. But look, the president's been very clear. This is not the United States is not going to spin its wheels here. We want to see outcomes, and the first major outcome that we wanted to see, which we were glad about, is that we wanted the Russians and the Ukrainians to put a real peace proposal on the table. What would you need to do in order to stop fighting? That happened. The second thing is they needed to agree to direct talks with one another. These sides hadn't talked in years. We thought that was a disgrace. That has now happened. But now, the talks have been proceeding for a little while. We realize there's a bit of an impasse here. And I think the president's going to say to President Putin, look, are you serious? Are you real about this? Because the proposal from the United States has always been, look, there are a lot of economic benefits to thawing relations between Russia and the rest of the world, but you're not going to get those benefits if you keep on killing a lot of innocent people. So if you're willing to stop the killing, the United States is willing to be a partner for peace. That's been the proposal to the Russians, to the Ukrainians, and frankly, to nations in other hot spots around the world.
Yeah, steps in the right direction, I hope. China's sending an important signal to the entire world. To me, they're saying it's a big deal because they're showing that they wish to play a larger role in the larger national security of the world. What that translates to me and what we've been talking about is they understand the three poles: Russia, China, U.S. We are the three dominant civilizations on this planet right now. We have the technology and the ability to help ourselves with what's coming. Keep that all in mind in the big picture. But this has been released. China is kind of accepting their role. I wonder how much of that actually shows the CCP's losing control or them still attempting to garner. I know a lot of people are going to be strong about the fact that the U.S. should still be in charge of everything. I disagree with that. I like the three-pole idea, frankly. I think everybody should handle part of this. It shouldn't all be dumped on us. And then we can all be awesome. We can be friends. Well, we could mutually annihilate each other, but ultimately it seems stupid. Why can't we just get along? So ultimately, I'd like to see us start to build spaceships, go to Mars, do other things, get the hell off the planet. Maybe something happens. Maybe we can move to the back of the planet. Maybe, who knows? Who knows what we could do if necessary? So again, we'll see when we can finally get people together. The German chancellor said, dude, getting rid of this AfD party and stuff and the people and putting them in jail. He's like, dude, this just reeks of eliminating political rivals. So he's like, voting no on that proposition. Portugal's ruling party basically stays left. Sounds deep state. They stayed deep state, whatever the case is. Europe's going to be, I think, lagging behind everybody else because Europe's just so up their own butts. I find anyway, there's a number of like groups in this where we are right now that are just so up their own butt that it's so impossible for them to realize that they're just getting in their own way. Like you're causing all the damage, you know? It's like a dude that worries about everything in the relationship. You okay? You all right? You okay? And just wear the woman down over a number of weeks and months and years, and eventually they're like, I gotta go. I just don't want anyone to talk to me for a day. It'd be so awesome. EU leaders relieved after centrist beats pro-Trump rival. So Romanian presidency apparently went deep state-ish, if you will. Oh, the guy that hates Trump, so whatever. Call it what you want. Britain agrees trade and defense reset with EU. Folks, they were kind of talking about how Starmer, whatever the frick the dude's name is going to essentially probably get England back into Europe. Watch the European Union. You watch. He's going to try to bring you guys that direction. He's going to piss off both sides, they say, but what that means to me is I think he's trying to steer everyone back to the other side. And you do that first in increments. You get it centralized, and then you go and make it worse, right? What was this one here? The New Jersey Transit people, the engineers, they've reached a tentative deal, so they're actually going to go back to work and finally take people home that need to go home in New Jersey. DNA for sale. So the 23andMe company, apparently Regeneron, is looking to scoop it up. And they said they've got pretty good data management when it comes to large-scale data. So hopefully they can protect all that data. Just wanted to throw these last couple things in there because it's fun. It's official. Disney's Thunderbolts. Thunderbolts. I tried to make it cool for half a second because it's not. This was the try to go woke Avengers. And this movie did horribly. They were comparing it to all the other horrible movies that Avengers, Disney's ruined, basically. And, it's not doing well. In fact, it could come in not the lowest, but pushing it. So, yeah, people in this country are done with the woke shit. You go woke, you go broke. Finally, organizers who are woke are planning a nationwide protest for Trump's birthday. This might be the one they try to ramp up, guys. June 14th, 15th, 16th, I don't know, somewhere in there is, I think, his birthday. So keep that in mind. Keep peaceful thoughts. Keep yourself and everyone else surrounded in a bubble of light and love. And put on your armor of God, whatever works for you. But we're getting very close, and I think this might be close to the place. This thing could easily spin out of hand, and if you think of all the other shit that Trump might try to do to really get these guys aggravated, because, again, they're very easy to trigger. And I almost think we sort of want to trigger them at this point. And there's going to be a couple cities they're going to focus on. And these are going to be blue cities. These are going to be cities where hopefully a lot of people have had a chance to get out of. It's kind of like Gaza. If you lived in Gaza and you've been through all the wars in Gaza and literally you're still there and you're like, no, I'm not Hamas. I don't support those guys. Why are you still in Gaza? This is my home. And it's like, bro, they're going to come in and destroy this place. You know that, right? Yeah, but I can't leave. It's like, so most everybody's gotten the hell out of I think, the bad places. I honestly think there's a handful of them. And I think we're going to see a lot of that stuff focused there. I think most of us could guess some of them. I don't want to, though. I don't want to put any energy towards it. But I think we're, unfortunately, the way things are being ramped up and the way they're setting a stage, I think they're planning on ramping up over the next essentially less than a month. And it's going to be maybe the last, 2 weeks max probably, that they're actually going to pump the energy on it and then try to get people fired up and go out in the streets. So, event happens 2 weeks before, maybe even sooner, though. I mean, it can be as less as a week. I'm trying to, who knows? Just be aware, guys. Be ready. Be prepared. Talked a lot of stuff. Make sure you've got your parasites cleansed. And honestly, stock market's not going to like that kind of stuff either. So get your ball rolling on the drslikesgold.com. And again, Healthy Home, therootbrands.com/OTF. There's just, or /Dan Radio Style on the Root Brands. Therootbrands.com /Dan Radio Style. Just keep yourselves safe, guys. That's all I can do. Best I can do. I love you guys. We're going to take you every day, best we can, except Saturdays, pretty much. But we are, next Saturday, we've got the $25 meeting, though, by the way. If you guys go to, Dan Radio Style local, what is it? Dan Radio. I'll get it for you guys tomorrow. I don't know what it is. Is it danradiostyle.locals? I don't know what it is. It's either on the fringe. That's what it is. On the fringe.locals. There it is. On the fringe.locals.com. That's what it is. No idea what the hell I'm doing. Nope. Just running around like a chicken with its head cut off. But yeah, if you become a member and then just do a subscription, essentially one that just reoccurs, you can cancel anytime you want. But that's how I pull the report. So if you're at $25 or more, you're going to get invited to this meeting. We broadcast it on the air. We do a fun little locals show, a community show, if you will. Hear what people think about what's going on in the world. It's a lot of fun. Certainly something worth watching. That'll be happening Saturday, 1 p.m. Pacific, which would make it 4 p.m. Central this coming Saturday. Also got Friday's music coming up. I've got two different thoughts. A good friend of mine, Jim, threw an interesting idea that sparked an idea, and I actually might run in that direction. We'll see. I've already pulled a couple things, but I like the idea. So anyway, we're gonna check it out. And then, of course, I've got the Law of One happening on Thursday, another powerful show that I am very proud of, and I think you guys will enjoy. I actually still have to record a bunch of that. I got a lot going on. Busy week indeed. I'm not just sitting around twiddling my thumb, folks. I love you guys. We're going to keep fighting the fight. We're going to keep working to move forward. And I'm going to be with you every step of the way. Where we go one, we certainly go all. It's On the Fringe with Dan Radio Style.